In the late 19th century, the construction of the Eiffel Tower in Paris became a subject of great interest and controversy. Designed by French engineer Gustave Eiffel, the tower was built for the 1889 World's Fair in Paris. However, during its construction, there was significant opposition to the tower. The design of the Eiffel Tower completely clashed with the aesthetic sensibilities of the time. The structure consisted of an open lattice framework made of iron bars, and many people found it aesthetically unpleasing. Artists and writers in particular criticized the structure, labeling it as an iron skeleton, and began to protest, expressing concerns that it would harm the beauty of Paris. The opposition grew to such an extent that a group of artists and writers prepared a petition calling for the dismantling of the Eiffel Tower. The petition expressed antipathy towards the tower, and voiced the belief that it would damage the historical landscape of Paris. However, considering the cost of construction and its potential as a tourist attraction, the government rejected the petition, and the Eiffel Tower continued to stand, eventually becoming one of the iconic symbols of Paris. Ironically, over time, the Eiffel Tower evolved into a significant symbol of French culture, and is now widely recognized as one of the most visited tourist attractions in the world. This event serves as an interesting historical example of how aesthetic preferences can change over time, and how a structure, initially criticized, can become a valuable symbol. Napoleon Bonaparte in 1812 launched a massive campaign against Russia with the dream of conquering Europe. However, this campaign turned into one of the greatest military disasters in history. As Napoleon's army advanced towards Moscow, the Russians continuously retreated, abandoning their lands strategically. The Russians employed a tactic of setting fire to the areas the enemy advanced through, destroying food and resources. This strategy left Napoleon's army grappling with hunger, cold, and disease. As a result, the Russian winter and the strategic withdrawal strategy severely weakened Napoleon's army. With the fall of Moscow and the subsequent retreat, Napoleon's army suffered significant losses. Faced with the impact of winter, the army nearly disintegrated. Napoleon had to retreat to regroup his forces, ultimately leading to the collapse of the French Empire. This story represents a significant event in history marked by the ambitions and strategic mistakes of a leader. Napoleon's Russian campaign not only reflects on military strategy and the power of governments, but also demonstrates how natural conditions and unexpected events can shape the course of history. In 1962, during the Cold War, the Cuban Missile Crisis had the world on edge due to the geopolitical tension between the United States and the Soviet Union. However, another interesting incident occurred under the shadow of the Cold War, involving the small town of North Pole in Alaska. One day, the town noticed a Soviet flag hanging in the town square. People initially thought it was some kind of joke or game, but it turned out to be real. At that time, the mayor of the town, Anthony Diamond, aimed to strengthen the town's connection to the North Pole and promote tourism by raising the Soviet flag. The person accused of raising the flag was a local named Carl Dessette. Dessette claimed that this act was intended as a joke and had no political motive. This event in North Pole garnered attention from government officials and the American media. Following the flag raising, some tension arose among the locals, and the incident became a national topic. Government officials demanded the immediate removal of the Soviet flag, but Mayor Anthony Diamond argued that it would enhance the town's tourist appeal. Diamond's stance reflected both the hostility towards the Soviet Union and an attempt to leverage the tourism potential of the town. The incident received extensive coverage in national news, attracting significant media interest. The government continued to pressure for the removal of the Soviet flag. However, Diamond resisted, believing that the event would increase the town's recognition. Ultimately, a few days later, the Soviet flag in the town square was taken down. Nevertheless, this short but impactful story became a memorable anecdote in the history of North Pole. The raising of the Soviet flag, though brief, is remembered as a reflection of the atmosphere during the Cold War and the concerns of American society at that time. During World War II, John F. Kennedy served in the Pacific with the United States Navy. In 1943, the torpedo boat PT-19, under Kennedy's command, collided with a Japanese destroyer. After being thrown into the water, Kennedy and his crew faced various challenges to survive. Kennedy's leadership skills and resilience earned the trust of his crew, and he succeeded in rescuing them. In 1963, during the Cold War, Kennedy delivered a historic speech during his visit to West Berlin. Starting with the words "Ich bin ein Berliner," I am a Berliner. This speech is a significant moment, as Kennedy expressed America's support to the German people and conveyed a message of unity. In the summer of 1961, at the Hyannisport mansion of the Kennedy family in Massachusetts, some of the United States' most prominent scientists, artists, and intellectuals gathered scab. Kennedy famously committed the United States to send a man to the moon with the words, "We choose to go to the moon in this decade." This commitment led to the initiation of the Apollo space program and the historic moon landing by Apollo 11 in 1969. Another topic that sparked speculation in Kennedy's life was his relationship with the famous actress, Marilyn Monroe. Although there is no definite information about this relationship, Monroe's proximity to the Kennedy family and rumors about Kennedy's private life have frequently found a place in popular culture. During the Cold War, the space race between the United States and the Soviet Union reached its peak during Kennedy's presidency. Kennedy initiated the Apollo program with the aim of sending humans into space as a symbol of victory against the Soviets. As part of this program, the Apollo 11 mission, with the historic moment of Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin landing on the moon in 1969, became a significant event.